Distinguished guests, here we are together with you on the occasion of a new SETA event titled World Energy Trends and Turkey. All of you are welcomed. As Mr. Minister said a short while ago, the world is facing a big energy crisis. It is the biggest since Iran and Iraqi war. In this crisis environment, some countries started to implement new policies. Meanwhile, the others continue to implement their recent policies. And Turkey is one of these countries. With the projects put into life in 20 years, she continues in the same direction. Our panelists will be Dr. Ismail Kavas from Fırat University. He will be speaking about the energy policy and strategy of Turkey. Thank you very much. I want to start my words by thanking to SETA for their invitation and for the organization. Actually, I want to say a few words about the book. Then I will be speaking about the energy agenda of Turkey. The book consists of 4 main chapters. Chapter 1, overall energy policies of Turkey, just an introduction. Second chapter is Turkey's energy resources, fossil fuels, renewables, and nuclear energy are the titles. The backbone of the book, the third chapter, contains risky and advantageous areas for Turkey. We have Serhan and Levent, 2 valuable authors. They contributed a lot to the book. The supply and demand security, outer dependency. Büşra also contributed a lot. And the fourth chapter is Turkey's strategies, Turkey's steps and projects to be an energy center, energy markets, energy stock exchange. Actually, it gives a full picture of energy. It is very useful for the sector. At this point, I want to repeat once more, I extend my thanks to all the authors contributed and to SETA for the contribution of publication of it. Coming to Turkey, as you all know, Turkey is a very important country having a very strategic location in the world. Actually, it has a strategic location that links the energy source and the consumers. So at this point, a very important tasks fall under the responsibility of Turkey, such as the supply security. And in terms of the international energy supply, Turkey has a very strategic position. We call it the future's energy equation. There are 4 parameters that we can speak of. The first one is having the energy resources. Second one, controlling these sources. Third one, appropriate transfer of these, transmission of these. And the fourth one is, while consuming the energy, how can we mitigate the emissions, as Mr. Minister said. Now we are discussing here the position of Turkey, what kind of a position she takes. In terms of owning the sources, as you all know, regarding the fossil fuel in Eastern Mediterranean and the Black Sea, we made some researches and we are planning to transmit this. And we are hopeful for the Black Sea as well. The second one is the renewable energy potential. Turkey has a very big advantage in this regard. In solar energy, the number of the sunny days in the year and other calculations show that Turkey is very advantageous. Maybe we are not producing the hugest amount of energy, but in terms of geothermal energy, we are in the fourth rank. And for wind, we are okay. For hydro, we have been in a very rich geography. But also there is one more thing, the wave energy. Since the elementary school, we all are taught that Turkey is a peninsula surrounded with seas on three directions. So in Black Sea, there are some activities. The second parameter in the equation was the controlling of these sources. One of the final objectives of Turkey is to become an energy center. We do not say bridge, we do not use transmission. Now we say center because we are in a very strategic location and we are making our steps accordingly. In terms of control, we speak about reaching an advantage in order to control the international energy prices. Actually, another question to be asked here is, in order to be present in the future's energy equation, what sort of policies Turkey develop and follow? Of course, we spoke about a very rapid development and transformation. We made a step forward in this regard, and we hope that it will continue because energy and economy are linked together. We have international energy projects, TANAP, Türk Akım, and Akkuyu. There will be second and third power plants. So Turkey is an important actor in hosting all these projects. The energy investments increased. $70 billion of investment has been done to energy sector. This is a very important figure. And when we look at what is planned for 2026, we see an increase of 50%. And the fourth parameter is eco-friendly and climate-friendly situation. Paris Climate Convention, many provisions are met by Turkey. The infrastructure investments are very well placed. And we are also transmitting this natural gas to different regions. In the markets, actually, the legal base is formed. In terms of policies, there are many policies implemented in Turkey. It was 2017. I want to speak about the national energy and mine. First pillar is localization, second one is supply security, and third one is a reliable energy market. All of them are integrated to each other, especially the first one and the second one. What I mean by localization, using the local resources plus local technologies as stated by Mr. Minister, especially in terms of renewables, wind and solar power, using our own products. Energy supply security, I will leave this issue to our professors. It is important to diversify the energy resources. And regarding the oil and natural gas markets, we are implementing all these policies. What about the current situation? I will say a few words on current situation. As the installed power, 100,000 megawatt is reached by the end of the February, almost 99.862. megawatt has been performed at the point of localization and supply security, we can say that everything is on track in terms of observing these examples. Regarding the consumption of the natural gas, 50 to 60 billion meter cubes. It was 9.6, I guess, but more or less we can say that 59.6 billion meter cubes, then we can say that it corresponds to 42 billion US dollars. When we add the petrol, $20 billion. Let me give you a concrete example. The cost of Yavuz Sultan Selim is 3.5 billion. Istanbul airport is $12 billion. And the total contract price for most important three projects is nearly $30 billion. When we finish these projects, we will be able to self-satisfy. So we can say that abroad dependency is one of the disadvantages of Turkey. Turkey has two objectives. First one is covering its own domestic energy demand, and second one is to become an energy center. When we look at the recent investments, as you also follow, the outer dependency will be mitigated when we focus on such projects. And in order to decrease the cost of outer dependency, we are putting our efforts because it will have also a positive impact on the economy. As a last sentence, we are adopting strong policies to support the energy steps, but we must not stop. We must continue that so that in the global energy market, we will see a strong Turkish Republic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Ismail. We continue with you, Professor Levent. You know that Turkey is in an outer dependent position. Which are your comments? Thank you. Thank you. It was a very valuable book for us. Our consultant of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Caner, we also contributed. He's acting as an energy consultant in the permanent representative of Turkey, and he's one of our experts following the situation of Turkey in terms of energy. It is a great honor for me to contribute with him to the same chapter of the book. When the invitation came from Ismail, we said that it is very important to record something, to make it written as a text. So we tried to express the current situation of Turkey and what must we do for the future. In such meetings, when we join as a panelist or while we are discussing among each other, the young academicians, candidate academicians must be careful about the following. Bridge, corridor, crossroads should be out of our terminology, because that means that Western world is saying that you will get only rent out of it, but do not make any interventions to the strategy part of it. So some kind of exclusion. So we will definitely leave such terminology. Even in a friendly communication or family talk, we know that Turkey has the infrastructure and is a trade center and on its way to become a very strong center, the energy stock exchange, are the places where the energy is priced. Sometimes when we say this, people usually ask, how can we determine the price of oil or natural gas? We don't have it. At this point, I answer that although UK does not have so many gold, all these are determined with the metal stock exchange of UK. So you do not necessarily have it, but if you make the trade of it, that means you owe it. So I'm not an energy expert, but as an academician studying economic security, I also made my research in energy, and with some publications, with some books, I wanted to make a contribution to the literature, to the academicians' world. Together with Can, we prepared a chapter. When we say economic security, let me very fast summarize. Where is the supply security and price security's place in it? What we call security as a concept is having no threats against the values we obtain, while maintaining no threat situation. On the other side, we want to do it with minimum cost because security is something expensive. Maintaining the security means being ready at all times because there is always a threat. Might be realized or not, but threat is all the time there. Just like the land forces, armed forces. You have 600,000 soldiers, armed soldiers, and you have to develop more and more every day in the civil defense. Are there threats? Yes, realized from time to time. So being prepared is a costly thing. So taking the minimum cost principle, we try to provide the security and prevent the threats. And economic security is done to protect the values you obtained in the economy, as well as to prevent the obstacles in the future values that you're going to obtain. I'm not only preserving here the values already I have, but I should also minimize the future ones. In this regard, we also evaluate some energy. Unfortunately, Turkey is auto-dependent, abroad dependent in terms of energy. There was the gas of Black Sea. We were expecting it to come by the middle or end of 2023. It maybe will not cover the entire domestic demand of Turkey, but it is very important. When we look at the energy security, we must say that we have a chronic obsession of supply security. When we first started the research for the natural gas, it was very difficult to reach to natural gas in the world. And the more it gets difficult, the contracts were made for a period of 20, 25 years. And it was okay for the tendency and the spirit of that period. Because when you research and find natural gas, at those times you were to make long-term contracts. You either buy it, for example, say that you made a contract with Russia for 10 million, but the weather was hot and you only used 6 million, although you have to pay 10 million. So you pay for what you commit, not for what you consume. So that obsession of supply security put us to use natural gas over very high prices. But now we have gas everywhere in the world. What matters for us is the price. Maybe you can remember or remind me how Iran cut the gas. Yes, there are some extraordinary situations. This could happen to a European country as well. 2004, 2011, there were gas cuts in Germany. People died because of the cold. So, we speak about a natural source accompanied by a specific technology and equipment. As a combination of those, you get the energy. The problem of Turkey with Iran that could be experienced between two countries, but acting from the point of view of the supply security obsession, we cannot go further. For this reason, at a percentage of 75 to 80%, we are about to start to sign contracts to use natural gas at more reasonable prices and signing the contracts for uh, shorter periods of time. Ismail said 59.6 billion, more or less. I also know it as 60 billion, but more or less we consumed 13 billion more than the average of the natural gas because hydropower plants didn't produce electricity, and to fill in the gap we imported more amount of natural gas and the price was high. At this point we see the price security issue. Turkey is importing energy and Turkey needs each dollar she has. So the more our import increases, it returns to us as the current deficit. There is a website showing that deficit, and there is a note: energy price impact included and excluded, it says on the official site of the Ministry of Finance and Treasury. So, energy price impact is a chronic one of the chronic problems that our economy has to solve. And what to do? The answer is a trading hub. Gas to compete with gas, to sell the gas of second countries to the third world countries. Because old contracts was done in this way, we didn't had any chance to. But from now on, in the contracts that we are going to use, most probably Russia will ask for the same conditions and provisions again because of the sanctions, It will become a very important mechanism, namely the energy market in Turkey. There will be a way to re-export. We will buy the gas from Russia, we will price it, and we will sell it to Europe. The necessary infrastructure, pipelines, LNG terminals, energy market, regulatory authority, everything is ready. And coming to Eastern Mediterranean gas, you will remember His Excellency Erdogan said that we have good news a short period ago. If we can build a consortium for the commercialization of the gas of Mediterranean, the address for negotiations is again Istanbul. As I said, I am not an energy expert, but I think I can make this criticism. If someone takes a ruler in his or her hand and draws a pipeline, immediately leave that place because it is not the time to draw the pipelines. It is time to make trade out of it. Maybe we will not even see the gas. We take LNG from Qatar and sell it to Greece. We don't even see the gas, but pricing is done in Istanbul. This is the principle of what we call the trade center. So more or less, I can say that the overall picture is this. Coming to Russia and Ukraine war and its impact on the energy markets. Turkey adopted a very well balanced peace policy and prevented the negative impacts of the war on energy prices. Because last week we were expecting a very high prices because coming from Tengiz, Kazakhstan, there is Novorossiysk seaport. They stopped production by 1/3. This is the first reason. And second one is the Russian gas to be out of the system. And the third one is the attack to Saudi Arabia facilities. And the fourth one is the floating mines and the insurance, high insurance prices of the tanks of the vessels carrying these. We were expecting $140. The first one is Shanghai closed due to pandemics. There was a decrease, but the main reason was the Ukraine and Russia negotiations to take place in Istanbul. As positive signals came, we saw that the oil prices fall down to 105 US dollars. The energy pricing is instant. Any news can either increase or decrease it by 5%. So Turkey has a very important peacemaker role here. And there is another issue, last one I want to share with you. It was 2012. There was an article titled "The Importance of Predictable Science." So they speak about a hybrid war there. If you use some other techniques other than the conventional one. What I mean by this, on soldiers, on armed forces, on land, and in the marine, you battle, but at the same time, economic war, energy war, the media war regarding the perception of the people. And regarding to that hybrid war, today we see that the Western world, just to put pressure on Russia, trying to isolate the economy of Russia. They are also affected, but okay. But today, Russia is capable of responding, the second biggest oil exporter, plus in the first three rank in export of natural gas, and to be able to increase the prices. Here we see that energy is used by Russia as a weapon. So in the coming terms, we will be speaking these more and more. And at this point, thanks to Can Ercan, in this book, we try to put forward the strategic location of Turkey, and the infrastructure investments are there. They will continue. From this point of view, my last sentence will be, Turkey is about to become a very important energy trade center. What is important for us is the pricing of the energy. Everything is ready in Istanbul, and Turkey has a very strategic location in terms of the supply security of Europe. However, in the negotiation to be a member of EU, Turkey is still too far. I believe that energy will be a very important factor. Plus, 33% of the natural gas used by Greece is transmitted through Turkey. That means supply security 33%. So, Turkey is making big researches in the national waters. Israel, Southern Cyprus, Egypt, they came together. They said East Med, they call themselves like that. But as in a meeting in the presidency together with Ismail, we said that no need to answer, no need to give a political answer because it won't work. At those times, we knew that it wouldn't work and Turkey will remain as the most strategic country in the region. And today we see that the Israeli president is putting Turkish ornaments on his plane. And when he came here, the issue was how to commercialize it. There is no point in transmitting gas to Italy because 75% of the natural gas is consumed in the northern Europe, and the only way to transmit it is Turkey. Sorry if Madam Moderator lets me to announce I have to catch my train's departure time. Having said this, I want you to accept my apologies that I have to leave. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Levent, for being with us. Thank you very much for your contribution.
We'll continue with you, Sarhan Bey. So, Turkey has a chronic problem of dependency to abroad. So, in terms of Turkey's dependency to other countries, so when we say Turkey, it is not only about Turkey; it's about the people, and of course, the human beings need the food at the most. So I will not talk about the food generally. I'll talk about the dependency of Turkey in coal, petroleum. As Levent Bey pointed out, it's called as the being free from the dangers. So energy efficiency have many systems. I'll talk about the system. It's about the cost. I'm not saying price, but I say cost. If you're taking the energy from outside, if it's through the sea and diplomacy is a trade, you have to pay it economically, so financially, and there are some political costs to be paid. So we can say that we can see the situation of Ukraine, and we can take the energy there. Turkey is a country which is there, and Turkey with an unluckiness. We cannot change the geography. We don't have many rich resources, but we do need them. And we are, in terms of coal, when we look at this, we can say that in the world, Turkey is in the top 8, top 9 countries which is importing coal, and there is a huge import. We have the stone coal and lignites, and we are dependent in this regard. In Russia and Colombia, Turkey has with Russia and Colombia, they have a relationship, and when we look at this, where there's a it is a cheap third 3% of it, and it's the one third of it. And when we look at this, the reason of this is that it's the working way of the coal, and technically speaking, it could be stored up very easily, and you can store the coal very easily. So you can have with the stocks and with the stores, and if there is no problem of the security of the supply, because you can store it. It's not like the electricity. And the second thing is that the coal is one of the fossil fuels that is produced in the world, and we can have this from other places. So it shouldn't be in the same quality. And the other thing is that in Turkey, coal is used in electricity, and so in the coal supply, in the worst conditions where you cannot store and where there are problems, you can cover your need in terms of coal and coal import or access it to coal, or the in terms of production safety. There is no problem in Turkey. And what we can understand is that regarding the coal, the real problem is that so in Turkey there is an objective to have the national coal. There is an energy supply. It is an important problem, and the energy supply security in economy and in the politics, it is a tool to legitimize it. So it is a problem of all, and of course it is a way to legitimize the foreign policies. So we have the national policies. There is a window of opportunity, and I can tell you that, of course, in terms of finance, it is quite limited, as His Excellency Mr. Minister pointed out. However, with that, for example, Siemens can start with the technology, and there are the important. They stopped at the financing of the coal, and of course, for evaluation, our evaluation for the coal reserves, that this is important. So I'm just talking about the policies. I'm not a pro coal use. And at the same time, Turkey doesn't have a problem with that. And in terms of the supply security, well, if you think it's a problem or not, what would be the worst case scenario? Where do we use the oil? The half of it is used in the transportation. So is when the supply of oil stops, the transportation in Turkey will stop. And so can we say that it's a risky situation for Turkey? No, because uh, Turkey, from Iran, from Iraq, from Russia, from India and Kazakhstan. However, in just 4 or 5 countries, there is the import of the oil, and we get crude oil as well. And so there's such a structure in Turkey, and we can say that through Iraq, we can say that we are connected with a pipeline. There is no risk of pipelines, and with Russia, there is no not much high risk with this, and there is no security risk in this country. The risks is that the risks are quite small, but we can say that it's about the Suez Canal. The oil monitoring that we are taking from India The few weeks ago there was a case, and there were the canals were closed, and the problem of security of Turkey stems from that. But when we look at the technical characteristics of oil, it could be stored up very easily. We can store it in our vehicles, and we can store it with huge tankers and huge places. So the International Energy Agency has a legal liability, which Turkey is a member to. Turkey has a stock of oil for 99 to 100 days, and there was the selling of this, and it was a now Turkey has a stock of 95 days, and in the worst case scenario, Turkey it will be self-sufficient for 3 months, and if there is no input of the oil, then we have to talk about other security risks, and for if there is no oil entering into the country for 3 months, there should be the World War taking place, as Levent Bey pointed out, with the effect of Russia and Ukraine wars. Russia has an Novorossiysk port, and through that port, Russia and Kazakhstan are making trade. And with the sanctions imposed on Russia, there could be a decrease in the amount of oil that is exported from there. Novorossiysk covers the exported to the Western countries, and if there's going to be a decrease there, and of course that is a positive contribution for increasing the security in our straits. So the security of the straits can increase, and of course we can say that the export of Russia is coming to east rather than the west right enough, and we can say that they're sold in a very a limited price, and in India there is no supply demand. And I'll talk about the effects of the war, and this is about the natural gas. Of course, when we look at the natural gas, that it might seem very effective, and in Turkey there is no risk of security, and gas was interrupted from Iran. So how we don't have the risk? If we were producing this gas, and if there is a technical problem or an accident, couldn't there be an interruption for a week? It could. So it is the working in this is a regard or not, and there are other details for the suppliers. And the problem that we experience is because it is not because we were taking the gas from other countries. So where do we use the national natural gas? We use 1/3 in industry, 1/3 in the households, 1/3 in transportation. If there is a problem there, of course, could there be a problem if there is an interruption? Yes, the electricity uh, production levels decrease. This is a success. We have to appreciate this. But in Turkey, in the large metropolitan cities, and with the increase in the supply of natural gas, so the determining factor is not the industry or industry use. It is a household use right now. So there are problems in the winter because of the household consumption is a determining factor in this regard. And we have to look at one thing in Turkey, why there is a problem, a risk why there isn't any risk, because in the last 3 or 4 years, Turkey is working in the LNG and importing LNG in the last 4 years, and in the last 3 months of 2021, the LNG from the other countries is 17%, from Iran and from Azerbaijan is at 13 to 15%. So when we compare it from the world, we have taken larger amount of gas in worth of 17%. So if Europe will take less natural gas from Russia, that will be there will be a compensation of this, and they will buy it from United States of America. And if they're going to support it with LNG, we can say that the United States of America will give Turkey a lesser amount of gas, but America has to make a trade-off in this regard, and or either US will keep selling to Turkey. However, Turkey is in a more advantageous situation. I think that USA will prefer Europe to feed in, and we can say that we are dependent to Iran 15%, and we can say that Turkey, Russia didn't interrupt the gas. So we hit the Russian plane, but our gas will continue. We call it as compartmentalization, and when we look at this, we look at the economic aspects of this, and we are getting an economic advantage in 2014 with the occupation of Crimea. Russia is working there, and without Turkey, of course, there isn't any client that is like Turkey, so Russia is aware of this fact. And of course, according to Turkey, they don't want to use the natural gas, because natural gas can be used for once. And when there is anxiety in the country that you are working, the economic parts are taken into account, and the energy efficiency cannot be used, and Russia doesn't want to use this card, continues with Iran, so it is not used right now. We can talk about one thing. Turkey is dependent on Turkey and Russia, and in this system these countries are dependent on Turkey as well. It is the same for Iran. Without Turkey in this system, the geopolitical ones, there is no client there, and there is the huge dependency risk in these countries, but they don't want to use this card there. And when we look at this, whether Turkey has a risk or not, the reason why Turkey is taking natural gas from there is that we can work with Russia, and we're on the same level with the other countries. So it is not for Turkey. So PKK is there, and the others. In terms of that, Turkey is not subject to the energy threats. So we can say that in the long term, there will not be any problem there, and we have the stock, and so we can take it from the water. So we can say that Turkey is dependent to other countries, So there we can see the effects of this. So I'll talk about Russia and Ukraine war and what could be Turkey, and I'll talk about an item article by article. We can say that Russia, as we can see, that the petroleum price will be lesser, and they can take from Turkey. So what we understand is that if Turkey is going to continue buy from Russia, if there's going to be this flexibility, Turkey will take from the imported. The cost will be there, so there will be an ideal world. There will be a reduction in the oil and diesel, and the strait security will increase. The security of the straits will increase because the tankers of export will less, and the traffic will be better in the straits, and we can say that the straits will be better. And thirdly, we can say that Turkey, in relation to Russia, Russia was stronger. But if the sanctions will continue, it will be like Iran, and all. If Russia is in this situation and Russia is to be connected through Turkey, Turkey will be stronger in this regard. Russia is a country which can work in there. This situation will change maybe. So all the systems will change, and Turkey will be there, and all the systems will change. So we can say that last but not the least, regarding the Russian-Ukrainian war, as the His Excellency Mr. Minister talk about this, the first reactor will be there. However, for the other reactors, there is an increase. Therefore, the first two reactors can be opened, and for the others, they could be there will be change in this regard, and there is no open source information in the public, and so we have to think of this. Thank you. Thank you, Sarhan Bey. Last but not least, let's continue with Bilal Bey. As the minister pointed out, the climate change and with the global warming, there is a green transformation trend. And for 20 years, Turkey, with the installed powers, they can increase the local powers, and Turkey is trying to work in this. So how do you evaluate the green transformation, and what will be the effect of this in Turkey? Thank you very much, Büşra Hanım. Our professors addressed the security of supply, and they talked about the process. I'll generally talk about the global part, and the energy prices are set. So there's an inflation trend. When you look at the USA, it is 8% of inflation. In Europe, it is the highest inflation rate, and in Turkey it increased up to 54%. And with that, there are critical factors, and we can see it after the pandemic and the energy shock, energy crisis, Ukraine tension played an important role. When you look at the petrol oil prices, in the last 14 to 15 years, it is the highest, and in the transactions, we can say that there is a 5 to 8 6% that will continue, and we can see how it is reflected in the national economies. But so this is a process ongoing, and we have to look at how it is affected by the process overall in the green transformation or in transition to green energy. The most critical thing is was the cost of the issue. The energy prices were quite high, and it is the problem there. However, the energy prices are so high that, and if there are the reflections on the inflation, the green transformation, transition to green energy, and the cost is not in the upfront. So we can say that it's a process that will facilitate the overall course, and as the historians say, whether the green transformation can be used as a weapon or not, the question was there for the minister. The fossil fuel prices can be taken down, and whether they can work and they can continue with ease or not. Of course, these are the subjects that will take attention in the coming period, and the petrol prices, the energy prices, and their effects on the economies. As we can see in the big picture globally, there will be important reflections. It is not only about the war itself, it will be post-war sanctions that will be an important factor to be taken into account. As the previous speakers pointed out, from Russia, the import of the oil and the energy that will be reflected in energies. Of course, the tanker, the ship, ship traffic in the straits will be affected by that, and how it will increase in Turkey. These are the critical subjects that we have to pay attention to. It is not only about the increase in energy, or it's not only about the global thing. Of course not. I have to make a correction there just to avoid misunderstandings. When we look at the energy oil prices and increase, there's a volatility, and this is another critical factor on Turkey. But the macro effects of this, and what will be the macro effects of this, should be highlighted. And for example, if there's a $1 increase in the barrel prices of oil, there will be an increase of 0.40 cents in Turkey. And in terms of the current deficit, the reason is that the reason of the deficit, current financial deficit, is the oil prices. And of course, in terms of financial stability, we have to be very careful. And of course, there's the exchange rate changes in our country, and of course the reflection to inflation is around 15%. And on the other hand, the energy crisis, when we say that we have to think of the natural gas as well, as the professors pointed out that the if impacts in coal market are of importance. So maybe the construction sector has 5 to 6% share in GDP, but the increase in the coal will increase the cement prices as well. A data was shared publicly recently by the Industrialists Association that there's a 15% of increase in the cement prices. So when compared, when there's an increase in the coal prices of 100%, and that increases the household costs as well. In Turkey, for the national economy, we can see the um, effects, and that could play an important role. All of these factors can be in a macro level, and with there is a crisis there. And of course, the recovery following that, in the energy crisis is maybe if there are other factors that have not been taken into account so far, and they should be analyzed very well, and we should take them into account in green transformation. As an im- I was data was published in the newspaper in 2021 in electric generation. There is 38% of the green resources for wind and solar has share of 10%. In Turkey, there is a positive sign in Turkey for solar and wind. We can say that Turkey has a larger share of energy generation from solar and from wind. In Turkey's history, wind has become the most important energy generation source in 2021 in October. And we can say that the rate is very high in Turkey compared to other countries. And of course, we were thinking whether there will be higher costs or not. How it will have a negative impact on the economy. However, the energy prices are increasing so fast, and regarding Ukrainian and the Russian war, the oil prices will have increased up to 140 USD dollars, and in the last 6 months, there's an increase of 4 to 5 fold. And of course, there's the crude oil, and as the professor said, that the energy that we import from Russia has playing an important role. And we can say that a barrel of oil is a $106, but the energy prices are much higher than these. And as it is discussed, that the energy prices are escalating so high. The inflation rate should not be the cause of an anxiety for green transformation. So the green transformation will mobilize fast and will affect the working life, will affect the global economies, and will be an important factor in this regard. Notwithstanding that, the fossil fuels and in terms of energy production with the zero emission process, the fossil fuels will use less, and at a stage it will be an important and positive development for the world peace. When you look at the economies, you can see in Caucasus, in the Middle East, in Russia, there is a fossil fuel used mostly, and the West is working in this regard. And we can see they are working in electricity generation as well. As the president pointed out, the fossil fuel, as it is a rate is to be decreased, there are new developments, and as the green transformation will increase, the rate will be higher in transition to green economy. And with this transition, inevitably fossil fuel weight and effectiveness will decrease in the global economy with the strategies, and the place that it has will decrease more and more gradually.
This was the eco-political side. I tried to dwell upon in relation to this part. I can dwell upon more about the issue. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor. Do we have any questions? Hello, Professor. I want to ask a question about a nuclear power plant. The nuclear power plant, especially the one in Mersin. What will be the situation of Turkey in energy? What about its effect on our energy demand and outer dependency? Akkuyu nuclear power plant is 4,800 installed capacity, and electricity production will be expected to be about 30 billion kilowatt hour. When we look at the consumption in Turkey, we can say that 33 billion gigawatts. So if the consumption remains the same, it will cover 10% of the domestic energy demand. Or we said for reactors, each reactor will consist of 2.5% of the energy demand of Turkey. We are planning to complete it in the 4 years, but don't forget that it is assuming that the energy demand of Turkey will not increase. So with the involvement of the other power plants, we will provide more contribution. The importance of nuclear power plant is the fact that although we are receiving the material from abroad, it gives us the supply security, because nuclear power plant works for 24/7, but just as you press the button, the reaction starts and the production starts. Immediately you can produce and supply energy. The second one is, it is our first time with nuclear power plant. Regarding the atom science, nuclear is also used in health, defense, military. It is a technology that we can benefit from all these sectors. So the enrichment of uranium is another point that Turkey is trying to implement, so that we can produce pellets, that uranium nuclear particles to be produced in Turkey. There are some criticisms, but those who are criticizing will take some decisions about building new nuclears, because it is zero emission during the production of the energy. Well, of course, it has the waste part of it, but when we make a cost-benefit analysis, we can say that its benefits are more than its costs. Thank you. When the power plants are commissioned, the nuclear power plants are also processing uranium, and these are in heavy water. How do we obtain uranium? Is uranium found in Turkey, or will there be another abroad dependency? Around Yozgat, we have uranium reserves. Talking about Akkuyu nuclear power plant, the resource will be brought here by Russia. The things that we call pellets, the particles, there are cylinder size particles. Again, the waste will be transported by Russia. The waste, the water, the residues will not remain in Turkey. In nuclear terms, Turkey only has a risk during the functioning of it, but post-production, all the residues, everything will be handled by Russia. That is why when we make a cost-benefit analysis, its benefit is more. What is actually criticized is they say that in terms of the resource, we will be again dependent to Russia, but I see a bigger full picture. This is the first time Turkey meets nuclear. Also in Turkey, we are one of the rare countries with very rich thorium reserves. At this point, if we can develop, we can also use this, and maybe in the future we can make these nuclear power plants function by thorium with our own national resource. Just an addition, the recent crisis and in the Europe crisis, there was a development in Europe as an answer to the nuclear question, including France. Many countries made an application to the European Commission for including the nuclear energy as green energy. Thinking of that application, Turkey to make step towards nuclear energy is an important thing, in parentheses, of course. I don't know whether it is approved, but there was a process like that. In electricity power generation, zero emission, but maybe the biggest debate about whether it will be considered as green energy is the waste management. Fukushima, Chernobyl disaster. So considering all these, they made a residue storage area in Finland inside a mountain. So all the pellets are buried there. Maybe the waste management part of it is a little challenging. That could be the biggest obstacle in front of it. Especially related to Akkuyu nuclear power plant, the biggest dilemma for Turkey is the passage through the straits. So both straits should be passed while Russia makes the transfer. So any terms of accident is risky. Ismail said about thorium reserves. So I remember 2 years ago, we made a discussion about thorium. Thorium power plants are technologically useful in terms of having, theoretically, of course, the capacity of cycle and removal of all these residues. So when thorium technology is combined with reuse of the wastes and recycling, then Turkey would have already made a few steps forward in terms of technology. I think there are no more questions. We would like to thank you for your participation. Thank you to all the audience connected from social media. Hope to see you in another SETA panel. Thank you.